mounting some handles on these Sapele cabinets. People say Sapele differently. They say Sapele, 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 whatever. I'm mounting these or not these hinges, but these handles to them. So this is a two-step process, meaning I have to drill the handles through the front and then I have to countersink them from the back. But I have this jig. It's called the Hettich Accura jig, and it's made by Hettich, Hettich. It's a great little jig. Works really, really well. Not too expensive. And basically, you can center your holes along this track. You can center them left to right across here, and then you can show you this real quick. You take this uh, handle and you put it on there like that, and that gives you your space between your two holes. Okay. So I'm just going to go ahead and start drilling these suckers. Go from there. Double check everything. This is a very, very, very expensive vanity. The entire vanity is grain matched, and we do not want to screw that up. So we make sure everything is consistent and correct. And then we get to the point of no return. Just like that. And then, oh, where did I put those? I left them somewhere else. Anyway, but we're drilling all these handle holes. I've done the entire kitchen so far, and toward the end of the day, and I want to go home. So we're getting it done. I'm using these Makita subcompact drill. It's a great little drill, very lightweight, and I'm even using the 2 amp hour battery on there, which is makes it even lighter. But we go all the way down the line, drill all the holes, then we'll go back and countersink the inside because the screws just aren't quite long enough to bite. Just like that. And so I'll drill all the drawers, and then after I'm done drilling the drawers, I'll drill the handles for the doors. So the doors are different. The drawers, they're centered, vertically and then also horizontally. The doors are set in, so they're 3 inches down and 3 inches into the first hole. And I do all my drawers first because I can leave this right here set in place. You can see how there's two hex screws on either side of that hole, and basically it just tightens or loosens this piece in this track. It's a really simple design. You can buy these rods here in really long lengths. So if you're working with, say, it's not just for drawer hardware. You can use them for what do you call it? Like say barn doors or anything like that. You have a whole bunch of holes you need to drill. So yeah, I use a 3/16 bit. Works beautifully. They have metal bushings on the inside of these uh, holes, so this thing lasts a long time. And you can also buy new bushings too, so that you don't have to, replace the entire thing. You can buy all these components separately, which is really nice. A commercial shop that I worked at had, oh geez, they had two of these handle jigs. They had them for like over 2 decades, something like that. It was crazy. They last a really long time. So you always want to make sure you double check the width of all your drawers before you start drilling, because sometimes you'll have one with the drawers, then you'll have another one that's really close, like a 1/4 inch difference, and you'll be able to see that difference when you go to drill. So you want to make sure that you can adjust your stop based upon the width of the drawer. But and I go in and I pull back a little bit because um, the I don't know what you call those, the spiral, the cut groove on the drill bit gets full, and then the friction will cause it to heat up and burn, and it lowers the dull. It makes your drill bit dull. So you want to go in, pull it back out, unload those threads, I guess, and then you just go back in again. Right there, I can feel it start to get difficult to push in. So you have to pull it back out and let those chips. You can see that one is a little bit loaded in there. You have to let those chips unload, and then you just go back in, finish the hole. So yeah, these cabinets are crazy. They are all grain match sapele. So if I screw up one door on here, all of them have to be replaced. I'll give you a better view once I get this one done. Okay, let me get you a better view of this vanity here. See that? How the grain on every single one of these goes all the way across. So if I screw up, say, that drawer front right there, and it has to be replaced, they have to remake all of these. And the crazy thing about these drawers is that, excuse me, my shoelaces caught on my little wheel here. The crazy thing about these doors is that they are a 3/8 inch core with a 1/4 inch veneer all the way around. And that veneer is mitered everywhere. So it looks like a solid door. But yeah, it is veneered. So all of these doors together would probably cost around 10 grand to redo just in time, material, because they have to make up all that veneer and they have to make it that wide, 30.5 inches or whatever. And it's all continuous. It's not like that's a board, that's a board, that's a board. No, the entire thing is one chunk, or at least one chunk that has been glued together and then resawn. It's insane. So, um, I'm also using this. I know people are going to ask, but this little thing right here, it's called a kneel it, and it has wheels underneath the knees, and it has a seat right here, and so you can transfer the weight of kneeling across your entire shin and on your butt, and it's really easy to move around and rip stuff like that. But here, I'll show you how I adjust this drawer, this handle jig over here. I really need a cameraman. Anybody want to come be my cameraman? Coffee's free. All right. So we have this drawer front here. Get you a better view there. Okay. And I know my handle jig is already set up here. I'll grab a handle just to show you. Now this handle jig is kind of cool, is that it has these little pins on the end here. Those pins are referenced perfectly with the center of these holes. So I can set the first hole, and then I just take my handle, set it onto those pins, and then it's perfectly centered these in the screw holes. It's super fast. You don't have to do any measuring, nothing like that. Set that thing on there, tighten this one down, and then you have your handle width. Now, to get your position on the drawer front itself, I flush the edge against this side right here, and then I bring it over and I measure the entire width. Now that's 11 and 3/8. 11 and 3/8 divided by 2, 5 1/2, 5 and 11 16ths. So I'll just do that. 5 and 11 16ths there. 5 and just over 11 16ths. Split that difference. 5 and 23 30 seconds. Just like that. And then we'll hold it with this hand. Take my stop. Ooh, careful now. Put it on the end here. Slide it onto the edge. Pull that tight. And I'll double check. 5 and 23 30 seconds. Isn't that just beautiful? All right. So after we do that, we adjust the camera for the folks in internet land, and we double check the height of this drawer front. It should be 7 1/2 like all the others. It is. So we don't have to adjust these holes. Otherwise, we'd have to adjust them up and down. Take our drawer. You really want to be careful when you're drilling these so you're not doing this number going at different angles and stuff, because that will throw off your screw and it will throw off your handle adjustment. So you want everything to be nice and square. Okay. Fantastic. I agree. I like that Neelet. So do I. Tell you right now, the Neelet is a life savior. I hate being on my knees for any period of time. Now you want to be super careful when you are drilling these handle holes that your stops are fully engaged, because it's really easy to hold this and then for it to drift. And that can be a big no-no. Some handles have a really large base, like this one has a really large base. So if you do screw up a little bit, you can straighten it out and it's fine. But most don't. I remember a set of handles that if I was off by a 32nd of an inch, it would show the hole. And it was like on, I don't know, like it was some sort of color that you could see the hole really easily. And that was a nerve-wracking job, I tell you. And you learn over time to make this hand basically into a clamp. Where you're grabbing, you're holding it, and you're not letting it move. And if it does move, you can feel it in your hand. Muscle memory stuff. But now, and one thing that is good about this is that it has these little Nomar bumpers on the back, so that it won't scratch the front of your drawer front, because that would be bad. It's kind of crazy knowing that if I make one mistake on this, it would cost $10,000. Like if I took this thing and I just went right into the front of the drawer front, 10 grand. Because that's what it would cost to remake all these fronts. If you're just joining, all these fronts are grain matched, 1/4 inch veneer, super time consuming in order to put it all together. So you don't want to screw up. And drilling handle holes can be a place where you screw up pretty easily. So all right, so now we have that done. Now what we're going to do is we're going to adjust this. So all the drawer fronts are done. I'm going to adjust this so that I can set the handles up for the doors. So the doors are, if I open this door, from the top of the door, it's 3 inches down. From the side of the door, it's 3 inches over. Okay, pretty easy. There are marks on here that tell you exactly where your stop is. So there's a 0 mark that I just put my thing on. I don't know if you can see that. There's a 0 mark, and then there's a 3-inch mark. So that's where I'm going to put my handle jig. So at the center of my hole is at 3 inches, just like that. Okay. Now the other one is super simple because of how I showed it before. You just stick that sucker on. And what I like to do is I like to put it on here, and then I like to kind of move it back and forth so that I can move the handle a little bit. There's a little bit of slop in the hole size of the handle. Um, and meaning the reason you want to do that is because you don't want the center of this to be referencing on the edge of the hole. That way, if I put it on here and I can move it back and forth, just a tiny bit, might be a half a millimeter. What that does is it allows me to. I know for sure that there's going to be an allowance for slop, and you want to have an allowance for slop when you're working with handles because you want to get as close as you possibly can to getting those, um, to go on as straight as you possibly can with your drill bit. But we're not perfect. I mean, we can be pretty close to perfect. I'm about as close to perfect as you can be. Now, you may wonder, John, you've been talking this entire time. Did you forget to adjust those holes over for this? Yeah, I did. Good thing I looked at that and I realized, hey, that doesn't look like 3 inches because it wasn't. It was 3 3/4. So right there, I'm putting pressure at the back of this as well because if you don't put pressure at the back of it, it's going to want to slide. So I'm moving it to where it needs to be, and it has to be perfect. And I put pressure on there to hold it in place. And I torque these down just a little bit. They don't have to be torqued much. It's anodized aluminum, so it grips pretty good. Now there is metric and imperial on this thing, which is just dandy. Just want to make sure I'm perfectly matched to the one above. If your handle holes are not perfectly in line, you're going to see it. You absolutely will. Always put this Allen key, X key, right back in the stop. Pull this door out. There, that looks better. 3 inches down, 3 inches over. We double check that right there. Looking good. We drill. Don't make a $10,000 mistake. Boom. Donezo. Now, I don't have to countersink these holes. Oh, what's that? Oh, I had a heart attack. That looked like a, what do you call it? Looked like a scratch. It was just a hair. I don't know where that hair came from. It's not mine. Probably the painter's. He was in here getting everything set up. But we're gonna mount this handle in there. You don't want to torque them too hard. Now, what is nice if you have it available, which I don't have it with me, but you take and you put Loctite on those screws and they won't back out. That's nice. Um, go ahead and drill this last one. Then I have to grab my countersink the handles for the drawers. This, by the way, is an awesome little impact. It is the XDT20. That battery lasts forever, forever, for freaking ever. It's crazy. It's just a little 2 amp hour battery. So back in the day, when you had to run a 5 amp hour or 6 amp hour for it to last all day, this one, this 2 amp hour lasts more than a day. It's awesome. So we are getting more efficient with the motors in electronic drills and stuff. All right, go ahead and Mount this drawer handle or door handle. Whoa, you're too long there, fella. And I can adjust the modes by touching this button up at the front. And look at that light. Isn't that awesome? Isn't that the coolest light you've ever seen? Boy, this guy's obnoxious. Yeah, I am. I'm tired. I haven't eaten anything since breakfast. So let's be honest. That's probably not a bad thing. Okay, so let's go grab the countersink. I'll take you with me. This is the house just outside of Fishtail, Montana. It's a really nice place. Pretty big. Um, yeah, it's gonna be a really nice the kitchen is in here. I don't know if you can see it, everything's dark. Oh yeah, here's the mountain. It's the Beartooth Mountain Range. Grab that countersink. Do I need anything else? No, I don't. Okay, go back. Anyway, yeah, and there's Makita is probably the most underrated tool company in the USA. Well, I don't think they're underrated. I think that they are the word I'm looking for. You have to be somebody who does fine work to really understand how good they are because they're super balanced. When I pull the trigger on this thing, I feel very little torque, and that's because it's balanced so well. There's a ton of power there. No, trying to countersink these holes here. Gotta be careful, I don't stab myself. One time I was drilling, oh, it was back when I first started. I was drilling some holes in a cabinet, and I was drilling underneath the cabinet like this. I had drilled through the back. I was drilling through from the inside so that um, it could leave a nice clean hole on the inside of the cabinet. Huh, dumb me. I was probably, I don't know, 16. Drilled through with a spade bit, boom, right into my chest. Ouch, that hurt. So, but so the reason I have to countersink these is because the screw is not long enough to get through a 5/8 drawer and a 7/8 drawer front, which is what we're working with here. So I have to countersink these, basically just drill another hole on the backside so that the screw will be able to make it all the way through and grab on the handle. So that's what I'm doing. And why am I using the impact instead of the drill? Well, because the impact spins at a higher RPM, and so it does do a really good job of countersinking screws. And that's actually pretty good considering most impacts would start to hammer at that point. The thing has a lot of torque, so it doesn't have to hammer right away, which is great. Handles are also very annoying. They're very high risk. They're it's kind of at the end of a job, and so you're not super duper excited to do them. But like I said, they are high risk. Like if seriously, if I dropped this thing and it banged into one of these fronts and it scratched it beyond repair, it would be a $10,000 bill. Like I'm not exaggerating. It's not clickbait for views. I'm not one of those. Not all the time. But you guys do make this a lot more interesting. I spent all day doing little punch list items, and I'm ready to go home. It is 5:20. I'm an hour away from home. I'm hungry. I'm not really tired. I feel pretty good, but doing handles is not what I would consider fun work. So, okay, swap out that countersink. Get the kneel it. Got my woo, handy vacuum here. Yeah, turn it on. Oh, I have it off. Always vacuum makes everybody happier. It just makes sense. Nobody likes a person that leaves a big mess. And your mom's not here to clean up after you. So, unless you bring your mom to the job site to clean, and that would be kind of cool. You get one handle started, get the other one started, and then you finish off. You torque them because you don't want to. You want to be able to find that handle hole with the screw, and when it's loose, I'll show you. See how it's loose like this? That means I can look and see where my screw is, and I can match it up with the handle hole. If you tighten this one down right away, it would it'd be a lot more difficult, especially if there is an angle to your handle hole or your screw. Like if the hole wasn't drilled straight. If the hole wasn't drilled straight, then you have issues with getting your handle fit in there correctly. But if you wait until both of them have started, then you can torque it down and it centers itself and it looks good. So that's the other thing about Makita too is that their triggers, their triggers are really refined. Hey, it's the Alex Eisworth. Hello, my sir. But they're really refined. So if you have good trigger control, manual manipulation, then Makita drills are awesome. But if you're a DeWalt guy, just power through. Wouldn't that have been hilarious if I would have done that to be a joke and I stabbed the front and it cost me $10,000? That would have been nuts. All right, so when you go slow, if you go nice and slow, you're not going to strip out the screw, not going to strip out the handle because sometimes these screws break off in the handle, and that's no bueno, especially when it's like this, which is solid brass, is probably around $30 a handle. Yeah, don't want to do that. Everything is very expensive and very you have to be very careful. Okay, let's vacuum these out. I like to do everything in batches. Do everything together as much as you can. So you see how I'm cleaning this level of drawers, this level of drawers, this level all together. Put the handle screws in there, set those back. The handle screws in these ones. Ah, set those back. If you batch stuff together, you're more efficient. Everything goes by faster. All right. Oh, the perfect number of screws. And what we call a job site win. 2, 3, 4. There's some old guys out there don't like impacts. Oh, they're too loud. These are also the old guys who never wear hearing protection. And one day they'll say, "Oh, those are too loud." And the next day you see them cutting aluminum studs with a chop saw with no hearing protection. Okay, too loud. Thanks, dude. I had an office guy one time, project manager, and he was a good project manager. Good guy. I liked him a lot. He was like, "You shouldn't be using an impact because it tightens the screws down too tight and strips them out." He's like, "Nobody knows how to use an impact correctly." Okay, Brian. And I was like, "Well, I do, and I'm going to use one, and you can't tell me I can't." So that was up in Canada where people like to tell you what to do. And yeah, I did. I worked up in Canada for 12 years, moved back home, doing cabinetry the whole way. So anyway, we'll finish this cabinet and then we'll carry on with the others. I think everything's on. Yeah, it is. So that's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14 handle. How long it take? 34 minutes. And some of that with me talking to you guys. Anyway, this is called sapele or sapele or however you want to say it. But yeah, it's pretty cool. It has what's called chatoyance, which means that it glitters differently at different heights and almost looks like I don't know what you call those things. Remember those cards you had when you were a kid? You look at it one way and then you turn it, look at it the other way. It's like, oh, the race car is moving on the racetrack. Anyway, thank you for joining this live. It was great. I'm going to end it. If you want to see the rest of it, you can go back and watch it on YouTube. It's going to be posted there. So thank you for joining me. That was super great. And yeah, I'll catch you later. Oh yeah, preferred tape measure, definitely Tajima. What is this? The Tajima This is the Tajima logo rubbed off tape measure. They're great. I don't mess with domestic tape measures. They suck. All right. We'll see you guys later. Thanks.